Game 83 on the 24th of April 2024, Wolves versus Bournemouth, titled Calling It a Day. I check my phone as I walk to my car and my heart sinks. Sometimes things happen and you think enough is enough and it's nobody's fault but your own. But whilst this time I understand the motives, I cannot unfeel the hurt. You see, recently I have championed a local sporting cause. I've been there as their magnificent run started, got going, kept going, and is so close to bearing fruits for all their hard work. But now the big names who couldn't give us stuff any other time come running, and yes, you are the one who drove their efforts and popped their stuff out for the people to see and enjoy. You're forgotten as they do ultimately what is right for their club, but without so much as a buy or leave given to your efforts. I don't blame them, it is the way of the world, but it still doesn't make it any less painful. So today I feel like Matt. Not any old Matt, but a Matt that you get walked over on. And to quote the England men's football team song from 1982, this time, more than any other time, this time I'm gonna walk away and get away. This time I will call it a day. I have surprised myself with the quality of video reporting output as I am self-taught, and all of which is available on YouTube, and those figures which are so buoyant actually mean very little. It is a tough world, but as I've said before, trying to help isn't always good for the soul. I think about my phone and the message a lot during my drive across London, which takes a good hour or so, and when parked up I rise like a surveyor's wooden rule, unfolding myself, and then I wander towards the exit. I am down and wonder, can anything raise my spirits? I have some time to kill, so once again alone, wallowing in self-pity and feeling of hurt, I look around. Pull yourself together, old boy. Okay, so I need to sort things out. I have started this podcast and I will see it through to the end of the games of this season. The idea of a newspaper is solid and should work, but for me, local teams don't want to help me help them help out the newspaper. They simply want me to just help them, period. And when you've propped them up, they desert you for the next big thing. CBT would say, take the positives, you pick them up and help them out. Life doesn't give you pats on the back. Life just seems to stab you in the back. This melancholy wallowing in self-pity is brought to you courtesy of a break between games 82 and 3. On arrival at the studio building, I head up to the 14th floor for some food. The restaurant on the 14th floor has nothing appetising out. In fact, it's pretty empty of anything. I've never been up here midweek at this time, so I pop out my laptop and start creating this open up for game 83. And I will be honest, the first draft sits in these pages on my computer never to see the light of day. It is at its very best really dark. A lot of home truths have been dragged up by my consciousness in an attempt to drag me down, so let's just leave that out. Today I am not looking forward to being funny, or at least trying to be. Today my anger tires me out. I am knackered, and with my own little business somewhat sliding due to me commentating here, there and everywhere, there is no respite tomorrow morning. Anyway, I have a game which I've dubbed the Gary O'Neill Derby tonight, as Wolves host Bournemouth in a bit of a nothing game. Another one handed to the lower Premier League commentator. Maybe this too is a sign of not being very good, or maybe doing it his way far too often. And so on to a game of football with 22 players who will earn more in a week than a hard-working person will earn in a year. Fair play to them if someone's willing to pay them that much. Good luck! In my days I was lucky if I got a fiver stuffed in my shoe. Time for the old body to get ready for another one of my life performances which masked the mind behind the eyes. Wolves versus Bournemouth beckons, and it'll soon be over, and I'll drive home and go to the land of no consequences. This time I go down in the lift to floor 10. Guess the wrong way as per usual and head to the studio doors. I'm incredibly early. I unlock the doors and turn the lights on and check my watch and email to see what booth I will frequent tonight. I set up my stuff and start to think about tonight's match in a little more depth, and some time passes, how much I don't know, before the door swings open and in comes someone I've never seen before. They wander up and down and then leave. Then I decide to go down to the tube station close by and get a coffee. I have never seen so many other persons leaving work in such a rush. I managed to negotiate my way down in the lift and out to get a coffee, then swim like a salmon up the stream of people back up to the 10th floor. When I arrive back, there is signs of life in the studios. I make small talk like you do. The studios gradually fill up for the night's matches and conversation happens, albeit sporadically, as we're all preparing for our games. Tonight there are staggered kick-off times and the main game starts early and we're all wondering if the team news is required. A quick chat with our producer for the night and we decide it's not needed, but the producer then says that my game will be played out at half-time, possibly when the main game has stopped, and probably at the end when the game is going on after theirs is finished. So no pressure, but a little uplift in the head. Wolves versus Bournemouth. In a word, awkward. Wolves labour under Gary O'Neill, the former Bournemouth manager, and duly fall behind to Semenyo's goal. Bournemouth are more livelier, and Jose Sarr makes quite a few very decent saves for Wolves. But as time slips away for Wolves, they start to pick up. Hwangi Chang then buries a lovely header from a Semedo cross, but VAR spots a Cunha elbow on a Bournemouth player in a build-up. Oh dear, Mateus, that could prove very costly. But a little luck then runs Wolves' way when Kirk's challenge on Doherty is quite rightly red-carded, leaving the Cherries to fight away from home on with only 10 men. And then the pièce de resistance. Max Kilman rifles in the equaliser for Wolves, only for VAR to rule him offside. It wasn't to be Wolves' day, and it certainly was Bournemouth's day. And in fairness, quite rightly. I pack up thinking about how it went for my 2-game day, and yes, I think I have acquitted myself quite well. I wander to the lifts having said my goodbye and step into lift D. The lifts have mirrors in front of you as you enter. I glance at myself and then slip back into solitude mode. I wander the 15 or so minutes to the car park, stumbling every now and then on the uneven pathway, and notice they've shut off Tower Bridge for roadworks, and here we are at 10:30 with nose-to-tail traffic. Shit, this is going to be a long drive home. I come up from the underground car park and head away from the pandemonium and settle in for at least a 75-minute drive. It has been a strange day. It has been full of many differing thoughts, and it has been full of commentary work which I enjoy. Maybe, just maybe though, still like a child, I want too much, and that leads me to trying different things. But then again, that is also how I've gone from bricklayer to commentator, so it can work. As I head in through the front door when I get home, my wife greets me and Rocco the Beagle looks up for just a brief second. I go into the kitchen and take my overnight medication and we both fall into bed. Into a world of dreams. I wonder how I'll wake up tomorrow and where my mind will deposit my mood when I'm back in the land of the living. Game 84, 25th of April 2024. Indonesia under 23s versus Korea under 23s. Titled, Tired or Just Plain Lazy? Today's West London offering is an under 23 AFC Cup game and a quarter-final no less. A leisurely coffee with my wife and pooch, tidy up a few emails and do some drawing-y things. To be fair, sorting out an awkward job, or prep for a match, or maybe going on Amazon to see if there's some stuff I think I need but don't, and then buy, and that's what's going through my head. I try and kid myself I'm working too hard, but I'm not. I'm just lazy. And the older I get, the more I want to do what I want to do. The morning drifts away and the early afternoon brings a little urgency as I prepare to catch a train. Once at the station, I'm alone with my thoughts once again. Maybe now I look to see where my mind wants me to go. Or maybe I'm asking it to lead me. Yesterday's low is given away to a little high pressure, as they say on the weather forecast. No, I haven't gone from the depths of winter to full-on summer, but I feel more like a pre-spring day. You know when it looks bright outside, but it's still very cold. My phone continues with emails popping into its inbox, and I answer many with the same well-worn old phrase. Disenchantment with your livelihood is not a good recipe when you're your own boss. When we were kids, we would try to hold our breath the longest. It was a game we played, and that is how my life feels presently. I wake up and I say, today's the day when I said all about it. Just like when you inhale in that game and hold your breath, and then it all unravels quickly as you let go of your breath to breathe. My willpower is so easily sidetracked. My Asian football under-23 adventure was getting serious now. Quarterfinals, Indonesia versus Korea. While on the train, I spent some time watching some YouTube videos and study the form, research previous lineups and look for players to latch onto for the no doubt frenzied opening to the game. But as I watch and as I read, I'm off out the window gazing into the distance and thinking about absolutely nothing really. My knee is a bit cramped for room today and it's a little twingy. I stretch it out under the seat in front and press against the seat leg and I press harder and then it moves. Fuck, it's the person in front's leg, an ankle. I say sorry. For the next few minutes I'm trying to decide if it's male or female. Why, I don't know, because whoever it is, I've just pushed and straightened my knee against and the leg went out with some power. We start our run into Marylebone and we come to a halt in a tunnel. We sit and pause for a moment and then a little longer before the driver announces his apologies for waiting while another train departs. His tone is that of a person who doesn't want to have to speak publicly, but their job says they must. We finally move and arrive. A glance at my ticker Timex says I have time to mosey along. So down I go and travel from the incoming point of Marylebone back out to Paddington, then walk and shuffle along the Paddington platform to the Hammersmith and City line. Before you know it, I'm off at Goldhawk Road. I jump on the bus for 3 stops and then wander to the Doors of Mystery. Sign in the visitors book and this is really boring, isn't it? Then I meet Brenners. You are in booth 12, says Brenners. Oh, okay, I say. And just for a laugh, I add in the fact that it's the furthest one away from where I stand. Does he not like me or something? A smile cracks on his face and he carries on working. He says, just go. And I reply, just walk out the door. Don't turn around now. I'm not welcome anymore. Now, with a nod of appreciation of my quick and sublime wit, he carries on with his work even further. Into 12 I go. I start setting up and getting myself ready for the impending mic checks, team news and broadcaster checks. I've been listening to the team as said by a Korean person to help me with pronunciation. Exactly 100 seconds of speedy delivery of 23 players' names and play it as many times as you like. Every time it sounds slightly different. I decide mentally that a good outcome to this commentary would be Indonesia winning 100-0 and also having all the ball for 90 minutes. Checks done, team layouts arranged and a quick comfort break, then countdown to the action. Brenners wishes me good luck, as he always does, just before going live. I feel a little heady. By that I have the rumblings of a headache looming or rolling around like a decent thunderstorm inside my head. I have a litre of water with me, so I have a good guzzle. We're off and running, and Indonesia set the pace before going 2-up in the first half. Korea getting an amazingly freak own goal to bring it back to 2-1 at the break. I open the booth door and the hot air inside the booth flies out like someone's just opened an oven door. Brenners and I talk about the first half and the fact that I'm in tomorrow again, same time, same place. I head back into my booth and fly into the story of the game so far and the plus points for either side. Korea make a substitution at the break, bringing on a big forward. He doesn't get much service as Korea look for the equaliser, but then he leaves a nasty looking late one on Hubner, the Indonesian defender, and VAR says it's a straight red card. And on replay, yes it is. Korea are up against it now. Indonesia keep trying for that elusive third goal, but then forget about the back door and concede, sending it into extra time. A quick glance, but not at my notes, at the train times. Extra time comes, then fucking goes before the 20-second penalty is scored, sending Indonesia through. Time has marched on, so after making a quick exit, I decide on an Uber to Paddington. The journey to Paddington then gets confusing as my wife calls me to say Marylebone might be a better option. I try to explain to her that my Uber's heading to Paddington. She says you might be better off going to Marylebone. So I pull the phone away from my ear and ask if I could go to Marylebone. The driver puts his thumb up. I go back to my phone only to hear my wife say, "Oh, I'm not sure, maybe Paddington." I say very politely, "I'm heading to Marylebone now," before the call's ended. There is just enough time to tell you about the driver. He is a chatty man, and just before we get to Marylebone, he says he has a pickup at Marylebone now, so all is good. But as we pull in, the lady who is waiting for him looks very worse for wear. He quickly says, "Do you mind getting out around the corner, because I don't want that lady in my cab." So he drives away from the drunken, sweary lady, just out of view, and I jump out. I can hear her from round the corner, and I slip in the side entrance to the platform. But then remember my distinct hat. What if she wanders in and sees me? I shuffle hurriedly across the station concourse and onto the platform, and you can still hear her giving it large outside the station. My train departure is up on the boards, and it's only a 2-carriage train. Luckily, I have a head start on most and managed to secure a seat. It is dark, and the trundle of the train on the track sends me into a starey state. I want to go to bed. I want to drift off to sleep, but I'm still on the choo-choo. My wife picks me up from Parkway and we go home. Sometimes I think I'm too old for this caper, but I came to it late in life, and I want to do it for as long as possible. Sorry, Ross, for tomorrow I have Iraq versus Vietnam. There is no end to my talents.